All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the next game of the Tower Dive TV Weekly number 31. It's great having you all here today. This is Lunette the Herald, and casting with me today is going to be Mystery. Mystery, are you here?
I'm always here. You know I'm always here.
I don't know about that. I think you're lying to me. I think you're
No, I'm
lying to
not
me.
that. I think I'm not lying. I just generally think you don't think I'm here because I'm a ninja.
Mm, Really? You're a ninja? All right, I'll keep that in mind. Anyways, guys, this is going to be the quarterfinal game. We'll be getting into the picks and bans right away. Lee Sin and Nocturne being taken off the board. Nocturne, obviously a targeted ban, but what do you think about taking Lee Sin and Nocturne out of the picture in general, Mystery?
Sorry, I missed that. What?
You are the best at paying attention, sir.
It's
Lee
not that.
Sin.
You kind of say your Skype tapped out a bit there, so it's kind of
Yeah,
like I
let's
missed
let's
like half
let's
the
go with that.
sentence.
Excuses, excuses. Nocturne and Lee Sin, what do you think about these champs being taken off of the board?
Nocturne. Obvious ban because one of the teams is Nocturne bot, and you obviously want to ban Nocturne if he's Nocturne bot. Seems legit, right? Nah, but seriously, Nocturne is quite an interesting jungler choice. I think it was more sort of trying to get at the other team sort of ban, which is why they banned him. Nocturne bot is known for his Nocturne play, so that's why that's off the list. However, Lee Sin is a good strong jungler, can clear quite fast, can has a lot of mobility and a lot of utility as as well as quite outputting quite a bit of damage on his own. So he's pretty much like a jack of all trades sort of jungler that can do quite a lot of things as well as have quite potent ganks.
All excellent points. And next we see Twisted Fate and Cassidon being taken off the board. Some interesting bans here. Obviously, Twisted Fate, a fairly standard ban both in solo queue and in games like this, just because nobody wants to deal with the global presence. TF has a lot of ganking potential once he hits 6, and has a slightly better damage output as opposed to Shen ganks as 6, despite the fact that Shen carries that taunt. So that hard CC coming out from Twisted Fate is not something to really be taken lightly. And next off the board, of course, Cassidon being taken away. Nobody wants to deal with that. That absolute anti-AP mid is going to shut down probably what most of the purple team is comfortable playing in that role. That would probably be one of the bigger reasons for picking him out of that particular lineup. You know, champions like Ari, Lux, all easily countered by Cassidon, and something to bear in mind when going into champion select. Hecarim taken off the board, of course. He's been one of those dominant junglers. Even after the slight nerfs he's taken, he's still one of the best late scaling junglers in the entire game and has some pretty potent ganks even in the early game. And then last but not least, Kha'Zix being taken off the board. Still, Kha'Zix just that monster assassin. When he gets fed, those jump resets are not something to be taken lightly.
Absolutely. With those bans, we go straight into the picks as well. Blue team already trying to pick up that Thresh. Really strong, sort of I think one of the best supports currently at the moment compared to a couple of the others. He's just got a lot of kill lane potential. The fact he can hook someone up, but not only be able to bring them back, but he can bring himself to them. He can also get people out of team fights incredibly quickly, especially with that lantern of his. He can just knock it over a wall and whoop, get someone out of there very, very quickly. You also got Caitlyn and Janna in the bot lane for the red team. Caitlyn, really a very highly played AD carry at the moment, I will say, just because of the amount of poke damage she has with that passive of hers. And Janna because of the shield potential and the ultimate blowback with heal. I think those are two good strong picks for the bot lane.
Yeah, Janna Kate's a very strong lane. I have to say I've been playing a lot of Janna lately. An obscene amount of Janna lately. Like, when I play a champion more than I play Lulu, you know there's something going on, and Janna has become one of my favorite supports very quickly. This is actually a great combination down in the bot lane. You've not only got the defensive capabilities coming out from Janna, but also you're going to allow, especially on those headshot procs from Caitlyn, to just pelt out so much damage onto the enemy AD carry. There's also a lot of disengaged potential from both Zac as well as Thresh down in that bot lane. You know, Thresh is going to land that hook. They're going to try and get aggressive. And when that happens, all you have to do is send out a tornado and a slow in the right direction, and that's it. You're away. Janna just has so much disengaged potential. She's a huge game changer. The one thing that comes with her that everybody has to be careful of when they play Janna is the fact that they've got a Lux and a Maokai on their team. You don't want to get anybody outside of that Maokai ult. You don't want to move anybody outside of Lux's skill shots. It's one of the biggest things that you kind of have to deal with as Janna, and why she can be a very risky play if the person taking her on doesn't know what they're doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're already seeing some other kind of interesting picks coming out as well. We've got Zac, or say Nocturne Bots picked up Zac, so you know that's good. May likely be a Zac jungle. Why is Zac really strong in the jungle at the moment, Lulu?
Well, there are a couple different things that make Zac a really strong jungler. A lot of it has to deal with the fact that he has nice health regen, but the other thing that comes with a Zac jungle is his kit. Man, I can talk today. When he slings himself over a wall and just comes right into lane for a gank, it makes warding against him difficult. The same thing with Hecarim. You know, he's got those amazing speed boosts. He just ults right in, and it's very difficult to see those ganks coming. And that's one of the bigger things that can really lend towards an amazing Zac player. When you're playing down in really any lane, it's not just the bot lane or just top lane, but when you see somebody's play style just change so drastically, even if you don't have wards down and you don't know where their jungler is, a lot of times these are good indications that somebody is coming up to gank. So even without those wards, this is something that all the lanes have to be weary of when dealing with a Zac jungler.
Absolutely. So other picks we've seemed to have got right now, we've got Maokai for the red team, as well as Lux and Xin Zhao, as well as Jose for the blue team. We've got Jace, Ezreal, and Lulu. So we're gonna have some really differential sort of sides on each side. We're now going to remove the summoner blockers so we can see who is where and where is who.
Now, something interesting to note right off the bat is the fact that Lulu has decided to pick up Ignite, and Thresh has got Exhaust, so that is not going to be a Lulu support, which is something we didn't exactly talk about in Champ Select. This is most likely going to be a Lulu mid. So I'm going to go ahead and take a quick look at the runes and masteries real quick while you are all staring at the champions, and take a look at what this guy is rocking. So 15 AP, 12 magic resist, 13 armor, and then 7.9 magic pen. So pretty standard for AP in terms of Lulu, and that's exactly what they're going. Got a point into Spell Sword, which will be nice for that auto attack poke coming out from Lulu. This is actually really interesting and not something we see very often at all. Lulu is not the kind of champion that's been played mid in a very long time. The last time I remember seeing a Lulu mid was Dragon Rouge, also known as Kosamak, when he was playing a prize match in IGL that I went ahead and casted with Forecourt Jester, and he played AP Lulu every single game, and it did not work out well.
No, I say it did it not work out for him, or did it not work out for the other team?
No, it did not work out for him at all. Like, really, really badly. Don't get me wrong. Lulu is great. There are some instances where Lulu in mid, she just provides the right kind of utility that your team needs, especially when you are going up against a mid laner where you need a lot of hard crowd control to shut them down, such as Diana, Akali, Katarina, you know, a very assassin bursty champions. Lulu can do great about that. She's got the disengage potential, but she's also got the silences and the knockups, which is really important to go ahead and disrupt them. Which is where, you know, she can do really well. But in this kind of mid lane, I just don't know. She's not going to have the poke potential to get close enough to Lux. I mean, Lux is going to be able to stay at a range and farm. And even if she can get close enough to land an EQ combo, she's going to leave herself open to a lot of harass.
I have to agree with you. In this sort of situation, I don't think Lulu is probably the best choice for them. Lux has a lot more burst potential than Lulu does, and even if Lulu gets a lot of the CC off, Lux can actually disengage incredibly quickly with that binding of hers, keeping herself very much healthy with the barrier, and even so, slowing them down with that ball of hers, which I can't remember, the Lucent Singularity, I think it is.
Correct.
Yes, there we go. I am learning my ability names, ladies and gentlemen. I am learning them, but yes, Lucent
I'm so
Singularity.
proud
So
of you.
she has a lot of disengage as well as engage and a lot
Right.
of harassment. So it could not go out well for Lulu at all.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying this is such a kind of strange matchup to see. The fact that they went ahead and picked this last is what's most concerning to me. Granted, I love Lulu. Put so much of my savings into going to PAX as Lulu. Got an entire costume together just so I could go dressed as just so I could go dressed as Lulu to PAX because nothing makes me giggle more than the thought of running around a convention as a Yordle. But I just don't see this working out well. I mean, in theory, she could use an EQ combo from a minion, place picks on them, and then use a Glitter Lance to try and direct it at Lux. But the problem that comes with this is that it's so mana taxing. Recently, we saw Lulu get a slight increase to the mana cost on her Q, and it's made people rethink about how to play Lulu in the early game. She just used to be this really poke spam heavy champ because she didn't have to worry about her cost, especially if you went Q first as opposed to E. You could just spam Glitter Lance all day and it didn't matter. But this slight increase has led to a slightly dramatic change in play. But I'm not sure how that's going to impact mid at all. This is just a really strange role to see her in, and not a favorable one.
Not favorable at all, but we'll just have to see how Kashorndin does with Lulu. But one thing that does interest me at the moment is the top lane engagement. We've got a Jace here, obviously, running around in the top lane, picking up the usual Ignite Flash. Quite a strong and very potent top laner, but to counter that, they seem to have picked Xin Zhao. Do you have any idea why? I'm not quite sure if this is a good pick or a bad pick.
Zin's actually an interesting pick, especially when you pair him up with Janna. They've got the ultimate disengage here between these two champions, so they're really scared about the hard engage coming out on the part of the blue team, which, is a valid thing to be concerned of. Zac is a very, very hard engaged jungler. Jace has got a lot of poke damage, especially when he comes up and switches into that hammer form. You've got Thresh, who's going to be wanting to be near everybody and essentially engage with that box. So there's perfectly valid reasons for wanting those strong disengaged champions on their team. And wow, that thwarted invade.
I can't see anything yet. I'm still on the loading screen, so you're gonna have to take us through this.
Oh, I'm sorry. So essentially, blue team tried to go up and invade into the enemy red jungle. However, they were thwarted by a Maokai sapling that was excellently placed and was the only thing catching them out. So a good eye on the part of Maokai, making sure to keep his jungle safe and stop invades. There you go. That's what you missed. Are you back yet?
No, I'm still waiting. It's
Oh my
taking
god.
forever.
Okay,
There we go. I'm in now.
That's cool. That's cool. I'm gonna keep talking. So Thresh and Ezreal are down doing double golems. For the blue side, this is actually pretty standard. This is something we see a lot of times, even if your jungler takes red first, like we can see Zac doing now. Double golems are just very, very helpful. That early level 2 is not something to be underestimated, especially in that bot lane, which they're really going to need to deal with the kind of poking potential that's going to be coming out from the red team.
Absolutely. And what's great thing about this is, with those extra golems, it means they can get a little bit more ahead on the other team. And I think that's what they really need, especially against the Caitlyn in the bot lane.
Now something we were talking about earlier was this Lux and Lulu matchup. You can see in the mid lane, Lux had already taken Lulu to about half health. She's being forced to use those potions already because of a single Q and auto attack combo.
Yeah, that's going to put her a little bit behind, but there's a lot of damage being outputted by that Lulu at the moment. Already, Lux has already had to pull out, lost like half her health from a lot of the combo, and first blood for her as well. That was a really good move for Lulu.
I don't even know what to say on that. I'm pretty sure everybody was surprised, though. I'm more surprised by the fact that Maokai didn't come down to help. That was a very aggressive movement by Lulu, but hopefully it's one that paid off.
There's a bit of action in the top lane. Jace is going for the tower dive. A nice hammer smack there, but a nice pickup by the Xin Zhao there as he managed to pull off an ignite just in time to make sure he picked up the kill with the tower shot.
Ah, that tower damage. Too OP, at only level 3. I'm not exactly sure what they expected, but hey, I mean, getting the advantage on your lane partner is great, and now they've got this wave push into the tower thanks to Zac, which is going to further deny Xin. It's going to further deny Xin experience. Meanwhile, down in the bot lane.
A little bit of engagement going down in the bot lane. Lovely hook there by Thresh as they're coming straight in. Flash going down. Is Caitlyn going to live? There goes the shield, but just not enough as Ezreal picks up that kill with a lovely arcane shift. They're poking down Janna. They do want to get her, but she is safe behind that tower for now.
Meanwhile, in the top lane, it looks like Zac is actually going to get taken out here. Maokai picking that up. Fun fact, you can actually smite Zac when he's in his little jelly blob form. I did not know that.
Well, to be honest, they are counted as creeps, so I wouldn't suspect that I would suspect that he could be picked up by Smite. It could also be a bug, but here we go. Maokai going straight in onto an unsuspecting Lulu to pick up a kill for the Lux.
Very nice job there catching Lulu out. You know, she had already used a lot of her poke, and this is one of the downfalls of Lulu mid, or really Lulu in general. You either have to be aggressive or defensive when you use your spells, and once they're on cooldown, they're on cooldown. You don't have that option to suddenly get passive and run away if you suddenly use them to try and burst down a champion. So a nice pickup by Maokai there, coming in when the cooldowns were up and just taking advantage of that. A nice root there and a nice pickup for him.
Absolutely. And I say right now we're seeing some interesting builds going down just after all those really early engagements, with scores already being down. Maokai's now 2-0 and he hasn't seemed to go back yet. So do you want to take us through any of the builds right now to see if who's gone back already and who's kind of got what?
Sure, but it looks like we actually are going to have an engagement down
I was
the
actually
bot
going to
lane
have an
side.
engagement instead. Caitlyn is going to a nice Q shot, but a nice flash out of the way by Maokai to get himself out of that sticky situation.
Yeah, now let's talk about builds a little bit. So it looks like both of the AD carries have started fairly standard. You know, they've gone ahead and picked up their Doran's Blade to start out with. Caitlyn obviously having to back after that death, went ahead and picked up boots and some potions. Not bad. The real difference that we see in builds right now is in the supports, whereas Thresh is going straight into Sightstone, Janna is going into a GP10. Really, both of these are effective. It's all based on personal preference. You know, generally on champions that you want to be a little bit bulkier, like Thresh, you tend to pick up non-GP10 items, so straight into Sightstone. Whereas people like Janna, where you're going to be really sitting in the back line, you're going to be picking up Philostone.
I have to agree with you. It generally becomes on preference to what support it is. Moving to an interesting subject, AD carries. I've noticed a lot of the AD carries pick up Doran's Blade, whereas from Season 2, they've changed a lot from the old Boots and 3 Pots. Do you know why that may be?
Boots and 3 pots just wasn't very effective anymore. You know, we saw a movement speed increase given pretty much across the board to everybody. This was around the Nami patch, actually, when this came out. And down in the bot lane, it looks like we've got an engagement. Thresh coming in with that hook and a nice follow-up by Ezreal. We'll go ahead and pick up that kill. But back to the subject at hand. When this came out is sort of when Boots and 3 pots really fell out of favor. After that point, we really saw Doran's Blade, Longsword, 2 pots being picked up more frequently, which, you know, was a good addition considering everybody now had that increased movement speed. There just wasn't a point for it anymore.
I say you make an interesting point in that regard. I think they just favored out damage over mobility, as you said. The mobility, they already got all the mobility they needed. They just needed more damage now.
Exactly. Now in the top lane, we've got some nice choices and items coming out. Jace going for that Tear of the Goddess, that Manamune build. Nothing surprising there. Meanwhile, in that mid lane, just so much poke. I'm really surprised to see how toe-to-toe these guys are going despite what seemed like a very unfavorable matchup. Mystery? Guys, I think we lost Mystery.
I'm back. I don't know what happened. I thought I lost you there.
Good job. Good job. So apparently we lost each other, but it's cool because we found each other again. So in top
it's cool
lane...
because Xin Zhao's now about to die because Jace tower dive him again, and a lovely move there by Xin Zhao to keep him under the tower for long enough to pick himself up a kill.
Yeah,
so,
meanwhile down in bot lane...
Meanwhile down in bot lane, Janna's going to get herself picked up by a few Ezreal auto attacks. And Caitlyn's just going to run back out of that situation. Ezreal doing a very good job in getting himself nice and healthy and sits sorted there.
Now, something interesting to note is we don't see the typical blue build Ezreal we've seen dominating the parts of solo queue as well as some, high-level play here recently. Instead, we have got Ezreal. He's 3-0 right now, sitting on 50 CS. He's got a BF sword and a Doran's blade, so he's going for a very typical starting build for an AD carry. This isn't unusual at all to see somebody rush that BF sword when they've got that lane advantage. So it's interesting to see sort of what is not normal at all for Ezreal's anymore. You know, that blue build has just become so popular. Iceborne Gauntlet, because I always mess that name up. Atira the Goddess, Sheen, that core blue build that really just, it's very
This
brutal
could be
to deal
interesting because Thresh is now coming after Caitlyn, and a lovely hook there. Barry's been popped. There's the ultimate flashing out to get himself, but a nice few auto attacks by Ezreal. Beautiful arcane shift to pick up a nice Janna kill. They're now trying to get the Caitlyn, but Caitlyn again under a tower to make herself safe as possible.
Yeah, Ezreal does have his ultimate, but it doesn't look like he wants to waste this trying to pick up the snipe on Caitlyn. Instead, it looks like we may... Nope, not going to have any action over that dragon buff. We are, however, seeing these back and forth exchanges in top lane. Xin and Jace just so evenly matched. This is kind of going to break away, though, soon. As you can see, Jace has actually got a level advantage right now, and ooh...
Oh, that was nasty. A good snipe there by Lux. Xin Zhao wanting to go in on that, but a good move by Jace, keeping himself back away from the ultimate there to obviously give Jace enough time to get him in there and get the Xin Zhao kill.
Yeah, an excellent play on the part of Jace, going ahead and avoiding that and getting out of there with barely any health. This is really where we're going to see the level advantages start to come into play as Xin is further denied experience. Top lane is all about getting that level advantage and then, just kind of playing to your strengths. And dear God, in mid lane, what the hell? Lulu mid. I gotta start playing this now. This is gonna be,
You and me
Lulu,
both.
Lulu, Thresh, Janna. No, it's time for AP mid Lulu at this point. Like, screw everything else. But in all seriousness, looks like Maokai's actually coming in here.
This could be interesting because Maokai's using his ultimate there. He's putting out a lot of damage. I think he was waiting for the Xin Zhao to hopefully come in and help him, but Lulu just didn't seem to want to have any of it.
Yeah, she's just gonna mosey right on back to farming without an issue whatsoever. And you can see this Janna shield in the bot lane. That added AD, it really makes Kate a hassle, especially when those headshots are proc. She can just fire off a few auto attacks and a Piltover Peacemaker. It will absolutely ruin your day. So an excellent job on the part of Janna, rocking out those shields when Caitlyn really has the ability to get in that auto attack harass. But back to top lane, Jace is gonna really start pulling ahead in terms of both experience and item build here soon, as he's now got a kill up on the part of Jace despite him having that extra assist. And he's building for pure damage right now, whereas Xin is mostly building for that true damage to creeps. We see him picking up that lizard tail right now, so he's got a bit of CDR, some extra attack damage, but it's mostly that damage to monsters as well as the cloth armor, which, with the damage that Jace can put out at this point is not going to make too big of a difference.
Indeed. Just want to question one of the builds I'm looking at right now. We can see that the first item this interesting Lulu has got is a Haunting, guys, and it may be leading towards why she's doing so much damage on the Lux.
Yeah, this Haunting, guys, that magic penetration, but meanwhile in the
I'm
bot
going to interrupt you because here we go. There's a bit of bot lane action. Lovely hook there by the Thresh to help pick up a kill, though. I think Ezreal was deliberately trolling the Caitlyn there. Didn't attack for a while. Caitlyn trying to run away and then, oh, there you go. Auto attack.
Oh, meanwhile in top lane, I thought you were going to transition into that.
Sorry.
Jace managing to pick up Xin Zhao there, an excellent catch off, and into mid lane. So this Haunting, guys, this is actually, if you were ever going to see an AP Lulu, this would probably be the best way to build this. And the reason here being that I'm just waiting for this gank to happen down in bot lane, and there we go. Yep, there.
Stuff going down. Janna's trying to save herself. A nice lantern there, but I don't think it was really needed.
She's trying to save
Janna's
herself.
just trolling at the moment because she knows she's gonna die. And there we go. Maokai now, interestingly, in a bad position. He's trying to get away from the Lulu and the Zac. Zac was coming in there. Good move there by the Lux to try and save her. And a good move there by Maokai just to put a sapling down to make sure he was not being chased at all.
I'm totally gonna get a chance to actually talk about builds this game, let me tell you. Um,
Too much action, too much action.
I know, right? If there was ever a way to build an AP Lulu, Haunting Guise has to be it, just because of the burn when you get that Leandries will stack well with her Q. You know, you're able to fire that across an entire team. It is really going to hurt. That magic penetration is just going to make her damage more devastating. We saw in her rune pages she was also building magic penetration. So she's trying to essentially counter any defenses
Oh,
that may be
and
coming
there
out.
is the hook on Thresh, trying to pick up that right now. Janna's still so low, but those auto attacks by Bamboozles, Ezreal's just wrecking this bot lane, and they're already up to the second tower.
Yeah, this is one of the issues with building Philostone. You can see just how squishy Janna really is. She's kind of having problems dealing with the damage coming out from both Ezreal and ooh, a nice snipe by Lux on that blue buff. She's having problems dealing with the damage coming out from both Ezreal and Thresh right now. And you know, Ezreal is just not a champion you want to see snowball. He's got a lot of mid-game power if he gets fed early on, and he's 7-0 right now.
It's not going to do good whatsoever, whereas in the mid lane, Lulu is really putting the hurt on Lux at the moment. Lux is 0-1, whereas Lulu is 1-1.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting to see how this lane has turned out instead of, you know, what we were expecting to see. You know, Glitterlant's great for wave clear, but the same thing goes with Lucent Singularity. Both of these champs have a lot of pushing power, and I would have liked for all that pushing power to see maybe some more roaming ganks happen, but instead Lulu's just going to eat that, and this could be very dangerous for her. But it looks like Jace is coming in.
Jay says a nice gate there, but it's going to be different at the moment because Zach's taking a little bit of harass just above the mid lane, and he's going to get away from that. A little bit harass from, I believe, Zinzao and Maokai, who managed to catch him out there.
Yeah, now we're going to see the push down for this mid turret, but more importantly, it looks like Lulu's building into that needlessly large rod. Def Cap, I doubt we're going to see a DFG from her, but that would certainly be something to see. One day I will see a DFG Lulu, and it will be the best thing ever.
It'll either be the best thing or the worst thing, because I don't know what, I'm still stunned shocked that this Lulu's doing as well as she is, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a testament to the player really just as to how well they're doing. Though a Miss Glitterland's going off there and a Thresh
A
hook.
good Thresh hook there, which is probably could have been engaging on something, but Lulu just backing off. Thresh now roping in that Caitlyn, a nice Caliber net. There goes the ultimate, not the ultimate, sorry, the leap from the Zac, but he's taken too much poke to be able to stay and try and engage on that. Just a lot of back and forth poke, keep going back and forth. Lots of them getting kind of low right, with only Thresh having full health out of anyone. Oh, and Janna.
And then there was Ezreal.
A bit of engagement as Ezreal's now playing a bit of fun, but a beautiful combo of a laser into her passive as well to take out almost half health of the Lux. Lulu now coming for a bit of fun there as she now tries to pick up a kill on the Lux and a beautiful lantern to get her out of there by the Thresh.
Meanwhile, up in the top lane, a nice shock blast coming out from Jace will go ahead and destroy the rest of Zin's health. We saw that Ignite go down and then a health potion being popped on the part of Zin, but it just was not enough to save him, and this is what I was talking about. Jace is slowly gaining the lead here, even though the two of them are pretty much equal in terms of skill level as we saw earlier on in the game. It didn't really matter, you know, we saw them having these one-for-one exchanges, but more importantly, Jace has the level advantage now, and that's what's really pulling him through this. We can see he's actually got 2 levels on top of Zin now, and this advantage is just going to slowly get bigger and bigger and bigger as the game goes on.
Absolutely, and we can already see that the blue team is taking advantage of this by now going for the dragon, which is probably the first dragon in the game now, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like this is going to be the first one we're seeing here. It is going to go to the blue team, so we're going to see this gold advantage slowly start to pile up, nearly at 30,000 gold compared to only about 22k from the red team. So quite a significant gold advantage at only 17 to 18 minutes into the game. Of course, that pink going down. But Janna, we can see her finally building into Sightstone now. 18 minutes, you know, this is a little late. Thresh has decided to actually, something interesting to note is that he's actually gone for the Philostone as well. He's just built it after the Sightstone. despite the fact that he's done this, he's still come out ahead on this one just because he's got the added health. They've still managed to ward up their side, and of course, those extra assists have really helped him out into getting that build done quite a bit quicker. Oh, and that missed ward on the part of Janna. How do you even miss that ward? I didn't know that was possible. That ward totally looks like it's not in that brush. It's not.
Oh dear. Oh
How do
dear.
you miss that ward?
Well, there's an interesting engagement going on the top lane as Xin Zhao's taking a lot of damage. Nice move by the Lulu there, but it just looks like Xin Zhao is just not going to do enough. She just got so easily taken down by the combination of Jace and Lulu there.
Yeah, and it looks like we're also going to see a potential engagement down in the bot lane now.
Yeah, there's like 4 of them down there. Nice move there by the Ezreal to get himself out of that situation. Good flash, but it looks like there's... Whoa! 2 ultimates on top of Ezreal, and he survived both with a simple barrier. Maokai is still trying to chase this, but now Zac and Thresh are protecting the Ezreal. That was stunning.
That had to be really disheartening for the red team. They tried to do everything they could to catch out that Ezreal and shut him down. He got out with barely any health. You know, more so than the barrier, the combination of flash and then that essence flux, as well as... Oh man. As well as that Thresh coming in with that beautiful lantern, that shield really is what ended up saving him. The shield from Thresh is what did it. And it just a wonderful play on the part of the blue team, but they're playing it very risky there, you know.
It looks like Jace is in a stucky situation as he was having a little bit of problems with Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao's trying to get him, but here we go, he's coming back into it, but Lulu ult's going to try and save him. He's flashing out of there, trying to save himself. There's the Maokai ulti, but it's not really going to do much. It's just going to sit there. In comes Lux. Lux is going to do a little bit of damage right now. Nice binding there just to lock her down so they can all get out, but Lux is taking quite a lot of damage. The Pix was on Lux, so she's now taking more damage than she should be. Lulu is trying to fire over, but this firing barrier is over. Barrier is laid down on Lulu. May have had a finishing combo there if the Lux laser was up. It is, but she just didn't know if it hit or not.
Yeah, an interesting engagement there. Something interesting to note actually is Lulu's ultimate, you know, how well that actually scales off of her AP. So if you're playing Lulu for her ultimate, probably not the best idea to invest in AP simply because it doesn't have the best scaling on it, but it still provides quite a bit of tankiness. So I'm interested to see how this will more so come into play in the team fights with that extra burst of health, not only from her ultimate, but that added AP is going to attribute to that flat bonus.
Absolutely, but there's a little bit of engagement going down on the bot lane. 3 of them are now here now, Janna, Maokai, and Caitlyn. Caitlyn's going to try and do something, but nice block there by Zac to stop the snipe. Here they go. Janna's going down by Thresh, interestingly enough. There's the ultimate by the Ezreal there, and looks like both teams are just going to disengage. But Xin Zhao's coming in from behind to pick up the Thresh out of nowhere, coming in as well with Lux to pick up that kill. I think all the team got the, like... assists in that kill, but Ezreal's in a really sticky situation right now. I don't think he can escape this. He is going to pick up the Maokai though before he goes down, before Xin Zhao takes him out with a simple
There's
odious charge. It's
yeah, now we
still
can
going on
see...
down here though, as Xin Zhao is taking out the Zac, now picking off all the parts as well. But there's a bit of an engagement going on in the base at the same time as Jace is now taking out the top base. Lulu's also engaging onto Xin Zhao in the bot as well to try and pick up this kill. There she is, she picks up that kill as well. In the top lane though, Jace is still in the base. He's managed to push that top lane so far. They're trying to pick him off, but he's just still there. It's taken 4 people to try and take this guy down.
You know, despite that engagement for the red team, you know, them managing to pick off you know, around 4 kills between, you know, Thresh and Zac and Jace and everybody else. The big problem that came from that is they just let Jace split push the entire game. Xin was down there, it was great, it gave them a number advantage, but they didn't have a response to the split push, and he ended up getting an inhibitor, which is really helping to seal the fate of the red team right now, because even though they can win an engagement like that, sure, 4v5, go ahead and do stuff like that, where you just go ahead and melt Lulu, but your other lanes are all going to get pushed, and you're just going to see very, very bad things happen as the enemy team comes up and starts pushing into your base, taking those inhibitors, and then those Nexus towers out from under your nose.
I didn't want to commentate that fight because I knew exactly what was going to happen. I am surprised that Maokai did live that, though. That was a good play on Maokai's part and Maokai's teammates. I think it was Lux and Janna that were down there with her. Good job on controlling that Lulu long enough to be able to pick her up very quickly.
And now, as we take a look at some of the builds, no surprise to see Caitlyn building that IE stacks wonderfully with her passive, and we do see a blue build Ezreal coming out. Of course, that Iceborne Gauntlet coming out, as well as the Manamune and then the Bloodthirster as well. Some pings going down on the map as it looks like we have a siege from mid lane.
Absolutely. Jace is trying to siege that mid lane. Good gate and into a shockwave there to try and pick up a lot of damage. Now Ezreal's still being a little bit cocky as he has been quite a lot of the game. He is pretty fed right now. He's got a lot of damage on him, so he can pretty much be quite cocky in his regard and sort of be quite up in front and in your face sort of appeal there. With Jace and Lulu backing him up as well, he's in an incredibly good position while Zach pretty much just solos the dragon and picks that up for him.
You know, there's a surprising amount of poke on the part of the blue team. Of course, Jace is one of those more classic poke champions that we've seen, despite the fact that he is a newer champion. His acceleration gate into Shock Blast just has the ability to do so much AoE damage from a range. It's great. It's kind of in the same vein as Nidalee Sphere, except instead of hitting one target for, you know, all that damage, it's spread across a couple targets for, you know, a moderate amount of damage. Now we can see Lulu going in here.
Just so much poke damage coming from these guys. The nice thresh there to get Lulu out of the situation. Zac is now going to be Shirelia'd to try and help the engagement. They're going to try and pick up this Maokai now. There's the ultimate from Zac, but I think he got a bit stunned there, so he couldn't actually finish off the kill. They are trying so hard to defend the base, but it may be a second inhibitor for the blue team. In fact, it is. Blue team just got so much dominance on the red team right now. They've got so much poke, and they've just got a lot of damage behind them.
Yeah, the Ezreal damage coupled with the EQ combos from Lulu, you could just see how devastating it is, even as that Lux ultimate comes out. And that Lulu is taken down. It's not quite enough. They've been putzing around in their base for a really long time. Caitlyn is just getting melted right now.
Oh, Ezreal's now getting melted. Nice move in there by Ezreal. Zinzao was trying to pick up Ezreal there, but a good use of Thresh's Lantern there to get him out of there very quickly and safely so that they can pick up that kill incredibly quickly. They're really low health now. I think they might be overstaying their welcome slightly.
Even if they did, I don't think it's particularly going to matter. These two waves of super minions that are about to come up are really going to lock the red team in their base right now.
Absolutely, but Shirelia is popped to get Ezreal out of the fight as quickly as possible. There's the ultimate from Caitlyn, but it's just Caitlyn doesn't have enough damage yet to be able to output the same sort of damage that Ezreal is putting out right now, I think. And a good dodge there by Ezreal to dodge that Lux laser. Oh, that's...
my goodness. That was
interesting. That was interesting to say the least. I think Thresh is going to die, though, as he gets picked up by Janna. Now Ezreal is so in a bad position right now. Look, Lulu coming in to save the Ezreal with a beautiful ultimate to be able to pick him up. Janna is now on the run. Chase is going to pick her up very quickly and get back to dodge that tornado.
Yeah, this is kind of where AP Lulu was nice. You know, once she started to stack up that AP, even though it's only a little bit of added health, that bonus health that you get from her ultimate, it's just so nice in team fights. Absolutely a lifesaver in this particular situation. More so that was an interesting Maokai. Oh my goodness, and Caitlyn's gonna die here. I can't even get the chance to talk because there's so much stuff going around, and there we go. There's the Ignite down and the ultimate from Lux. Will go ahead and clean up Lulu. As I was saying, just that Thresh hook, that Thresh Lantern rather, into that Maokai entangling roots was just, it was rough to watch as he just flew across half the map.
It was just funny because Maokai already started using his entangling roots to get in close range of Ezreal. Thresh mistimed his lantern, Ezreal mistimed clicking the lantern, and it did meant that Maokai just continued following them.
Yeah, I mean, this is something we've seen continuously, though. Maokai following up with that twisted advance, going up towards Ezreal, and immediately, Ezreal tries to jump away, whether it's a flash or anything built into his kit or whatever like that, and we see it every time, where he goes ahead and uses this, and then Maokai immediately jumps onto him, so it's interesting to see him actually use the Lantern this time, and then just Maokai continue to pursue.
Absolutely. So we can see that now that the blue team have got Baron. So I'm going to ask you a very serious question in regards to the red team. Do you think the red team have any chance in coming back in this, or do you think it's going to be pretty much the end of days for the red team?
It's going to be difficult. They've got two things that they have to worry about right now. One, they have to defend their base for the remainder of the time that their inhibitors are down, or their one rather, as the others already come back up. Two, they have to go ahead and wait out this Baron buff. On top of doing that, they have to go ahead and get some kind of control in these team fights as opposed to getting picked off one after the other from the surprising amount of burst damage coming out from the blue team. The problem with a poke team is the best way to counter a poke team is to go for a hard engage. And the problem here is that the red team, they're not in an opportunity to go for a hard engage. So turtling against somebody like Ezreal, like Jace, like Lulu, who are going to have some of that long-range poke with the EQ combos, the Mystic shots, the Arcane, the Shock Blast, and the Acceleration Gate, it's going to be exceptionally rough for them. Even if they do come back, the moment one person makes a mistake, it's over for them.
I entirely agree with you. To be honest, I think in regards to what you said, I don't think the red team have any chance of pulling out of this. Xin Zhao is trying to engage on Zac right now with a backup from the other teammates, but the blue team is going to help them. Zac is pretty much just safe right now. There's a lot of engagements going down though. Thresh Frow's catching himself out, but there's the ultimate from the Lulu. Lulu's going to keep I think Thresh healthy. Ezreal moving his ulti there to death right now. Maokai and Xin Zhao already been taken down. The third one there as Ezreal takes them down, and there's the GG's as purple base starts to fall.
Ah, that was rough to watch towards the end there, but ladies and gentlemen, that will be the end of that match. Stay with us as we go ahead and get into the next one. All in all, there, just an unfortunate matchup. We did see, obviously, the underestimation of that Lulu in mid lane versus that Lux, and just a dominating bot lane coming out from both Ezreal and Thresh, despite the fact that they had decent disengage on the part of the red team. So with that snowballed advantage, they went ahead and took it home, and unfortunately the red team was just not able to come back from that. So please enjoy some music, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back with the next game here momentarily.
Don't go away.